All right, people, good Friday afternoon. Hope you guys are doing well. We've got some injury report stuff to go over. I am coming to you from the bottom left corner today because it makes it a little easier to see the full injury report, the important stuff anyway. So, let's dig in here. We've got full injury reports for both teams now, Seahawks and Giants. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of mystery going into this one for Seattle. A lot of unknowns, and I don't quite know what to make of what I've been hearing, but I'll interpret things the best that I can, and we'll see what actually ends up happening in a couple days here. So, Seahawks side. Nick Bellore is out with a concussion, which makes sense. He definitely got knocked out in that game against the Chargers, and he's out. However, we are getting Travis Homer back. So Bellore's an important special teams player, but we're getting Homer back, and Homer's an important special teams player. So that's key, and that'll help offset the loss a little bit. Penny Hart is doubtful, so probably not going to have Penny Hart. Makes sense. I don't know exactly when he got hurt, but it seems like he's going to be missing a little bit of time here. Not a big problem. Well, it could be in this game, actually, for reasons I'm about to get into. The questionable column is thick. Got a lot of players who are questionable. We've got Tyler Lockett, Sidney Jones, DK Metcalf, Darrell Taylor, Gabe Jackson, Poona Ford, Phil Haynes. So let's run this down real quick. Tyler Lockett is in an interesting spot because he now has two injuries. There's the hamstring injury that we've known about, and apparently there's also a new rib injury. So I don't know when the rib injury happened, but it seems like it happened in practice sometime on Friday or maybe Thursday. Because on Thursday, he was a full participant in practice with just a hamstring injury listed. And then today, he was a limited participant with hamstring and ribs reported. So something happened, and he's being called a game time decision. The fact that he practiced a lot this week tells me he's likely to play, but the fact that he now has this second injury and the fact that Carroll didn't sound overly confident about it makes me feel like if he does play, he either won't play a lot or he won't play very effectively or both. So, not great on that front. I feel like he'll play. Gun to my head, I feel like he's going to play. I just don't know what we're going to get out of him, and that's kind of a big deal because of the other injuries we may have on this team. So that's what I mean when I say there's a lot of mystery around this team right now. When you don't know if you're going to have a guy like a Tyler Lockett, you don't know what's going on, really. Sidney Jones, questionable. I don't know if he would play even if he was fully healthy, so at this point, it doesn't really matter that much. That can go either way. He would only get on the field likely if somebody got hurt with the way things are going right now in the secondary because those guys are playing well. That's fine. But DK Metcalf, questionable. Oh boy. How should I put this? Really exciting to know that he was able to practice a little bit today. He was. That was big, crucial, key. But this is something we just don't need to be messing around with, man. This is something that we don't need to take the risk on. If he plays on Sunday, then I'm going to hope and trust that the doctors looked at him and decided he could play. I'm going to trust that the coaches watched him practice and determined he could play. But man, looking at what happened to J.C. Jackson, looking at what happens to a lot of players in the NFL who end up having a severe injury in that area, it makes you scared a little bit. So I understand that we kind of need him because of the Lockett situation and Penny Hart being out, probably. But man, this is a risk. So Metcalf, questionable. It's kind of amazing that he's even questionable. I thought for sure he was going to miss this game. I still feel like he will. He's being called a game time decision, but the fact that it's on the table is obviously, it's at the same time awesome and terrifying. So we're just going to have to see how it goes, man. Darrell Taylor, questionable with a groin injury. I'm thinking maybe that's why he came up lame when he recovered the fumble and didn't score a touchdown, because maybe something happened with his groin. Few people have suggested that. It makes sense to me. But he was able to practice some on Friday, and I believe he was not practicing before then. So that tells me he's going to play. I don't know what we're going to get out of him, but it seems to me that he's going to be able to at least play. Gabe Jackson questionable with the hip and knee situation. Limited participant in practice on Friday after a full practice on Thursday. So I look at that and I go, okay, he's probably going to be able to play, but will he get on the field? That kind of depends. Poona Ford with an ankle. Don't know where that came from, but he was a limited participant in practice on Friday after not practicing on Thursday, and I believe he had a limited practice on Wednesday as well. So if I had to guess, I would say that Poona plays as well. I think he practiced enough this week to feel fairly good about that, so I do think we're going to have him. So that's good. We've also got Phil Haynes, questionable with a concussion. But Phil Haynes was a full participant in practice on Friday, so that indicates to me that it's likely he's fine and he's ready to go. So I expect to see Phil Haynes probably starting. So a lot of mystery in there. There's definitely a lot of room for this team to go one way or the other in the next 48 hours or so. But my best guess is that Metcalf does not play. Jones doesn't play just because we don't really need him at the moment. But I think Lockett plays and Taylor plays. They're just both going to be limited. I think Poona and Phil Haynes play. And Gabe Jackson will play if he's needed. No Ryan Neal. He missed a little bit of practice this week, but Ryan Neal did not show up on the injury report at all. Neither did Artie Burns. Neither did Al Woods. Neither did Quentin Jefferson. So there is definitely some good news here. But if I had to guess, I would say we are still going to be down Metcalf, even though he's coming along faster than a lot of people, myself included, thought he was going to be able to. So that's the Seahawks side of things. Let's go over to the Giants. It's not as big of a mystery over there. They've got real problems. So let's run this down. Daniel Bellinger out with an eye injury. Seems like he could miss some serious time. That's their best tight end. That's their only tight end of any notoriety at all, really. So that takes a bite out of their offense. They're missing offensive line depth in Ben Bredesen, knee injury out. Cordell Flott, defensive back, out with a calf. So another piece of depth. Kenny Golladay out. Now, normally that wouldn't be a big deal, and it probably still isn't. But this is a team that also really, really doesn't have anything going for it at wide receiver. You've got Darius Slayton, you've got Wan'Dale Robinson, who's a rookie, and then after that, it's thin. So Kenny Golladay being out, I mean, look, if he was healthy, he would probably play. As much as he has been a huge disappointment for that Giants team, he probably would play. It's just another reason why our secondary should be able to absolutely collapse on this wide receiver group. They're just so substandard at that position. Evan Neal out as expected. Evan Neal wasn't playing great to start the year, but as far as rookies go, he was playing okay. I think that Evan Neal is better than the guy behind him. Just common sense, right? Like, if he was not as good as the guy behind him, he wouldn't be playing. So that is a loss of significance. You've also got O'Shane Zimenez, a linebacker, out with a quadricep. He was a guy who played a non-trivial role for that team. So not having him is also significant. Nobody's doubtful for the Giants, but you have Tyre Phillips. Sorry if you guys can hear my dog up there. Tyre Phillips, one of their offensive linemen backups, I believe, is questionable with a toe. Defensive back Jason Pinnock is questionable with a foot injury. Those two guys are not the end of the world if they miss the game, but Leonard Williams, questionable with an elbow injury, he certainly would be. Leonard Williams has had a really good season so far. He's a really good player. And if they don't have him, that takes a big bite out of their front seven. That takes a big bite out of their pass rush. It limits an already very bad run defense. So, yeah, that's something to monitor going into this game. But you take a look at what the Giants are definitely missing going into this game. It's significant. And this is a team that was already kind of getting by on winning games by the skin of their teeth. They can't afford to be losing this stuff. So it's a little bit of a battle of attrition this Sunday against the Giants. They've definitely got a lot. They've definitely got a lot sitting on the sideline here. Remember, this is on top of the injuries they've already sustained this year. Guys like Sterling Shepard, who would have been really valuable to them right now because of all their injuries at wide receiver and all their problems at wide receiver in general. Guys like Darian Beavers would probably be playing right now if they were healthy. So this Giants team, they're working behind the eight ball in terms of personnel. But depending on how these next 48 hours go, so could we. So that's the nature of the NFL. Injuries pile up. Sometimes NFL games are just a contest of who can stay healthy. All right, I'll see you guys later. I'm going to be live on Twitch tonight doing more Valhalla. Hope to see you guys there, and go Hawks.